Good morning, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, here on a wonderful Thursday morning. And let me tell you, the reason it's wonderful, the reason it's exciting, it's because it's Thankful Thursday, the Thursday in which we always celebrate the drivers out there, the passion that they have out there on the road, and what they do every single day to not only the sacrifices that they make, but the great decisions and everything that they do to keep us safe and to keep that train moving, that logistics chain in order, that logistics that nobody can explain, according to the President of the United States. It's just not possible, but they do it anyway. They do it every single day. We are here to do that. This is Drive Safe Dave, along with Sir Rick, producing behind the boards in some manner, shape, form, fashion. How you doing, Sir Rick?
Hi, David. I am doing fine. How are you?
All right. That's a little bit of, that is a voice from the past in, what was that, outer space?
You're giving me the robot voice. I just open up and be yourself. You know what, Dave?
No
you are Dave.
That's the
professional
voice.
You are Drive Safe Dave all day until it comes to the opening of the show. Then you become robotic
No,
Dave.
that's my,
Hi, everybody. It is a beautiful day. Domo ate misto roboto.
Okay, first of all, I try to start it out with a professional newscaster voice.
There's nothing professional about you. Drive Safe Dave, but you are right about one thing. It's Thankful Thursday.
That's correct.
Hey, thank you for what you're doing out there on the road. Thank you for being safe. It's a struggle out there. You know, there's not enough parking, and the parking you have is a little tight. Not enough room. People are shutting down early. Productivity remains very slow out there. Yet, we put a lot on you to make sure that you're doing all you can safe. We put the distracted driving on you, the driver. Dave, we also put on them hours of service, driving fatigued. And we talk to these folks, these professionals, these ones we're thankful for all the time. And yet those four-wheelers out there riding, it's like they go ignored. I mean, what are we going to do to talk to those folks?
You know what? It's the education
process. Is that Jake from State Farm? Hey, Jake, where you at? Talk to him, Jake. Talk to him.
He's wearing khakis.
Hey, Dave, so it's, Thankful Thursday. We're going to move into what it also is, a lot of reporting going on with the stocks. Okay, a lot of stock reporting. And here we go, Drive Safe Dave. One of my favorite things is to jump in, give you a name of a company, and because you are
Drive Safe
Dave, you know a lot. You can kind of tell us the kind of quarter this company had.
Okay, let's go.
We're going to open it up. Let me see who we're going to open it up with first. We'll open it up with Ford. Ford reported its first quarter estimates, earnings yesterday. Dave, good, bad, and talk to me about what you think it was. First quarter.
I'm going to go
year over year, and think about all that.
I know. I'm going to go all the shortages and everything, but I am going to go. It was a good year. I mean, a good quarter. I'm going to say it was a good quarter. Not a great quarter, but I'm going to say it was a good quarter.
All right. And I don't know what you consider good or not, Drive Safe Day, but they lost, I think, $3.1 billion.
Okay, that's not bad.
They put a lot of that on Rivian, and they applied like $5-point-something billion lost Rivian. So it doesn't sound as bad, but yes, Drive Safe. You call it a good quarter. I call anytime you lose over $1 billion. You know, and maybe I don't know if billion's at the benchmark or not.
I don't think that's the benchmark.
But here it is, $3.1 billion adjusted. So anyway, but they pawned it off on Rivian. Isn't that funny, Dave? When we get rid of somebody, and that's a driver, that's an employee, that's a wife, that's a spouse, that's a husband. How crap we
child.
Put all the child. We put it all on them. Everything.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm a better man now. I got rid of my spouse.
Yeah, you know,
I'm
a much better person now that she's not there anymore.
And here it is. All right, we see Ford, distancing themselves from Rivian, which at one point was their bride. It was she's every yes. Yeah. Now we put the whole $5.1 billion blame on them. But, they come out with a $3.2 billion loss. All right, Dave, I got one for you. First of all, I'm going to guess you don't even know who this is. But this company beat their expectations. Their profit declined a little bit. Amgen, quarter one revenue. First of all, so I told you they had a better than expected year. Drive Safe, Amgen, tell us who they are. and tell us what kind of revenue they must have done.
I don't know who it is. What's their name? I mean, is that
Amgen? I just told you. AMGEN. What is this?
Their name? Okay.
You need a phone home.
Yeah.
Can you pronounce that in a sentence? Can you use that in a sentence?
Wait a minute. I don't know.
Amgen Q1 revenue beats expectation. There's in a sentence.
Okay, what is it?
It's a plural of the Euro word amgenio, Latin form of amgeni. I'm just going with that, the spelling bee thing. Here we go. So, Dave, they're a biotech company.
Okay.
Biotech company based out of California. Never heard of them. Right?
Biofuel?
Never heard. I don't even know. Biotech. That's all I know. I don't even know what that means. But I can say they're a biotech company.
There's your robot.
Yeah. What it means, who knows? All right, so, Dave, here it is. This company that you and I have no idea who they are. Hey, how much revenue? Just talk revenue. It's not talk profit yet. How much revenue do you think they did?
I don't even know what they do, so I'm going to go biofuel. I'm going to say somewhere around the
first quarter.
Oh, first quarter?
Just first quarter, sir.
Okay. We'll go $5 billion.
Yeah, $6.23 billion. And we don't even know who they are. These guys are out there yanking in $25 billion a year revenue, and we don't even know who they are. We're probably buy their product. We're probably wearing something of it, using it, whoever they are, whatever they are.
It's not biofuels?
Biotech. That's all I know. I don't even know what that means. I'm telling you. But anyway, so let's open one of these companies.
Okay.
Dave, I mean,
let's do it.
I can't wait till we post our first quarter revenue on BCB Live.
Do we just
$300
tech at the end of it? Yeah, do we have to just put tech on the end of it? Is that the key?
All right, here we go. All right, Dave, one more. Harley Davidson. We all know Harley. Dave, what do you think? Great first quarter, first quarter only. Talk to me. How did they do?
I'm going to go not good.
Yeah, they didn't.
I'm going to go not good.
Stock falls after earnings decline.
Yeah, I'm going to say,
so decline in year. A lot of, chip related with them
absolutely.
as well.
I'm going to say no, not
Ford
well.
didn't use chip. They had the ex-wife. Right. So Ford blames ex-wife. Harley goes still using the old chip thing, right?
Right.
The chip thing.
I'm going to go
all right, Dave. We're going to bring it into our industry now.
Okay, come on.
Because it's the logistics thing. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to lead it off with J.B. Hunt had a freaking great first quarter.
I bet they did.
And here we go. Covenant, the old Christian-based company. I mean, is there any room for Christians on the trucking side? Anyway,
there are.
Here we go. So we have the Christians. If J.B. Hunt did well, now you have God's trucking company, Covenant, going up and down the hall. Don't they have like Jesus stuff on their thing? All right, I was making sure I had the right company. All right, so we have Covenant going up and down. Drive safe, Dave. Talk to me about Covenant.
I'm going to say they did well. I'm going to say they did well the first quarter.
First quarter had a record first quarter.
Absolutely.
A record. So Dave, all right. We're going to come back to them. C.H. Robinson. We all know who C.H. Robinson is. The big, bad, cheap and heavy loads. That's what, what other nicknames they have? C.H., cheap and heavy loads. It was, you're hauling for C.H. Robinson and blah, blah, all this. Like, why would you haul for that broker, Dave? Here it is. So we had an asset-based company, first quarter. Remember, first quarter started diving down. We've heard about all the bad things in that. Now we have a logistics company, a broker. What do you think they did?
Yeah, first quarter, I want to say they did probably tough at the beginning of the first quarter, but did well at the end of the first quarter.
Just need your first quarter. I don't mean month by month.
I'm going to say they did. I'm going to say they did well.
All right. And what do you mean by well?
I'm going to say just because I'm going to say
because last time and the reason why you may say, well, what Rick? Why he said well? Why would you? Well, because last time he said good, and that was $3.1 billion loss.
Yeah.
So what does well mean? Does that mean $1 billion loss?
I'm going to say they made money.
They made break even-ish, made a little bit.
No, they made a lot of money.
Okay, C.H. Robinson came out right now. Quarterly earnings at $2.05 a share. And what does that mean? Well, their quarterly report represented a 33% earnings increase over last time. Wow. Drive safe, Dave. Here it is. C.H. Robinson, $6.82 billion.
Wow.
First quarter, up from $4.8 billion.
That's a lot of money.
It's a record.
That's a lot of money.
So that's not. I mean, if it's a record, that means their best ever. A record quarter, phenomenal. Made $270 million first quarter.
Wow.
$270 million. And Dave, we talk about CH, and we talked about those other companies we don't know about. But we talk about a freight shortage right now. We talk about a doom and gloom we've heard. We've heard it reported on Freight Waves. We'd heard some arguments on the CNBC guys talking about the metrics don't say that. Dave, I don't understand it. Talk to me. How can we have earnings records from an asset-based company, earnings records from a broker in the midst of what we call a doom and gloom season, as we reported from many?
Well, I think there's freight out there. I think it's being gobbled up by the big boys, and I think.
Well, what does that mean? Explain to me again. I'm just going to say it. What does that do, Dave? How are they making money when we say people are going out of business?
Well, we're finding ways to not reject the freight that's out there.
What does that mean?
So if I tender you 10 loads going from Atlanta to...
How does that make me money?
Because I've increased my rate over time, that my rate for that load, I've contracted a specific rate.
Well, Covenant's running less trucks than they've ever run before.
Yeah, but they have a good contracted rate right now. They've gone out and renegotiated their rates to meet at a higher rate, and now they're able to not only take those loads, they're able to find ways to run those loads, and they're not putting those out on the spot market, which is leaving them to the open market.
Okay, I follow what you're saying on that, but they're taking the freight. I still say they're putting it out there on the market, but they're selling that load. They're brokering that same load at their contracted rate because there's not as much freight out there. That contracted rate that they have today is strong enough to make a lot of money on that spot market side. That's what we see in C.H. Robinson as well. Crazy thing, Dave, CEO at Covenant. What do you think he ranked in last year, in year ending 21? 21, a good year as well. Record first quarter. 21 over, let's go back to 20. 20, it was COVID year. It was a tough year.
What did he rank in first quarter?
First year, annual. Last year, what did he make? Over 2020.
Ooh, I have
$5.83 million. So
I got it. All right, I got it.
Up from like 1.2 or something like that. The president, okay, and here it is. So you have the CEO, the president in 2020 made $715 million, made a cool $4.475 million last year. Industry was just rocking it last year, right? And everything we see right now, we reported it here, Drive Safe. I want to say first, I want to say consistently that these companies are going to continue to have a good year. The asset-based companies, the J.B. Hunts, the U.S. Expresses, the Celadon. U.S. Express has its announcements May 5th. We're waiting on that. That's a big one right there. I'm going to tell you, it's big because they had the ex-wife that didn't perform very well her first year, right? Whatever reason, they kind of argued, and she's still there with them. But we're going to see what happens first quarter after their after what they've been going through with their new kind of dedicated, their JB Hunt 360 thing. JB Hunt, phenomenal. We have the brokerage starting to release their numbers. Dave, when it comes to these first quarter, the reason we're going to see phenomenal numbers, and Kramer, CNBC, I'm asking you to watch me today. This is my time to talk to you, Kramer. But here we go. It's because their year-over-year numbers are going to blow it out of the water. Last year's first quarter, second quarter weren't the best for trucking brokers. They struggled through it. As a matter of fact, C.H. Robinson first quarter last year came in under what their target was. A surprise to many, as like, well, how's that happen in a spot market? Well, because the rates were out of control. You were taking freight on your contracted rate, selling them more than what you had to get the freight covered.
Yeah,
that's what happens on that. Yeah. This year, it's a little different. This year, we're starting to have, those trucks are starting to point that northeast again, right? They're making their way to Washington again, calling unfair rates. They're not going there they're going there for one thing, Dave. They're not heading there yet. Don't go there yet. You're still making a lot of money. But Dave, the rates have gone down 20-25% in 3-month period.
Yeah, significant.
They're making a lot less with the fuel going up, rates going down. They're struggling through it. Who's not struggling? The brokers. Who's not struggling? the asset-based companies that are running their contract. But Dave, here's the deal. If you didn't get your rate increases in last year, you're going to struggle this year. Yep. Last year was the time you had to get them in. Dave, I received 2 phone calls in the last month from trucking companies asking me, hey, Rick, I want to, and they're smaller ones, right? Because the bigger ones wouldn't go to me. They know it all already. The smaller companies came to me and asked a question, Dave, and they said, I'm thinking about going here and putting rate increases. I said, well, did you get them in last year? They go, no, just it didn't seem like the right time. And it's like, it was the only time. Now's a tough time, Dave, to go in and put a rate increase in.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, unless you're just underperforming, then you don't have a choice on that. But the companies, the brokers, now have good rates in place. They're now accepting, Dave, you hit on that, they're taking all the freight.
All of it.
There's no freight on the spot market. So all these trucking companies, all these new trucking companies that rely on the spot market, there's a lot less, and now they're competing with one another.
Yep.
Well, I'll do it for $2. Well, I'll do it for $1.85, just get me moving. And all of a sudden the rates go. Meanwhile, the brokers and the truck companies that are brokering the freight, the brokers, let's just say it that way, their rates are staying here. And when fuel goes up, they're making more. And they're going, and the trucking out there that's taking that spot and making less. It's a spot market thing that's going to benefit the assets, going to benefit the brokers. I tell you, man, these I can't wait for these numbers to come out. I've been calling for them. I still, my stock, even when I call for good quarters, my stocks just don't perform well. I don't understand that. I mean, they're having record time and their stocks still don't make money. I don't get it. I need Kramer, you can have that thing. But drive safe, Dave. We got an interview coming up. Before we do that, we're going to take a commercial break. Hey, Dave, tell us a little bit, though. You see what I'm wearing right now. Utility Pro Wear. We brag on it. We talk about it. We talk about the visibility and the benefits of a Utility Pro Wear. It doesn't wear out. It looks good. As a matter of fact, Dave, it gets brighter the more you wash it.
Yeah, it reactivates inside. They have a chemical bonding in there that attaches to it, and as you wash it and as you reinvigorate it, it continues to shine brighter and get better and more visible. So it doesn't wear away like most old school stuff does. So you remember, utilityprowear.com. This segment has been brought to you by Utility Pro Wear. Utility Pro Wear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility Pro Wear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityprowear.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount. This segment has been brought to you by Utility Pro Wear. Utility Pro Wear manufacturer. All right, and here we go. We're back with Russ Graff, Vice President of Channel Management at Netstock. How are you doing today, Russ?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell me what you do at Netstock.
Yeah, Netstock's a technology company. We've built a piece of software that helps companies that own inventory, so manufacturers, distributors, retailers. It helps them understand the health of that inventory, how much they have, is it in the right place, in the right amounts, what to buy, when they need to buy it, how to manage those lead times, all those things that go on in the supply chain. So it's a technology software company.
And I understand you've been in the industry, in the supply industry, for about how long?
Yeah, a long time in different roles. For probably 25 years, I was in the position of actually selling and implementing full-blown ERP systems, as they're known, enterprise resource type applications, accounting software, order entry, inventory control systems, and so forth. And now for the last 8 years, I've been kind of on the other side of the desk here at Netstock, working with folks that do that still today, but helping that to get out to their customers.
So we can safe to say that if anybody is an expert in the industry, it's when it comes to this type of stuff, it's going to be Russ Graff at Netstock. Is that what? That's pretty much going to be safe to say.
Well, I try to be humble about that, but yeah, I've been in it a long time.
All right, here it is. We're just going to get down to it. One of the reasons why we brought you in here, you can't watch the news today. You can't have a conversation today without somebody stating supply chain is affected. What is the supply chain and how it is in its current state and the nimbleness of it or the ineffectiveness of it. But we're all in some way, shape, form, or fashion in this deal. What can you tell us about a little bit about the current state in what you do of the supply chain?
Yeah, well, you're certainly right about that observation. I mean, I've been in stores and in restaurants, and you have clerks and waiters and waitresses talking to me about supply chain when they can't get me something that I'm asking for, right? So it is absolutely more prevalent than it's ever been, and it's because it's a mess, right? In a word, it's in complete upheaval. Manufacturers are having to cut back or shut down production altogether for lack of materials, raw materials or components. We've all experienced it as consumers. Retailers and distributors are stocking out of many items. I recently purchased some furniture and I'm still waiting for it. It's about 6 months later, and it's been delayed twice in that process, right? Everybody's been through that personal experience. So lead times are 2 and 3 times or more what they should be. Transportation costs have gone through the roof, which is obviously pertinent to your industry that you are involved in daily. So yeah, it's really challenging right now, very difficult, and companies are struggling and scrambling to try to figure out how to manage it.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you that I've been doing this quite a while too. Unbelievable. I know I look young, but I've actually been doing this quite a while as well. And let me tell you, I've never seen anything like this ever in the industry in any shape, form, or fashion. And it doesn't matter what part of the industry we're talking about, Russ, right now. They're all negatively impacted in some way, shape, form, or fashion, especially when it comes to costs. And that is ultimately passed on to the consumer, bar none. No matter how you slice it and dice it, it's going that way eventually, correct?
Well, yeah, and we're seeing that with inflation reports that we're seeing in the news as well, right? And some of that can be controlled, but some of it's just not. It's just a natural function of supply and demand. And what we've experienced the last couple of years is demand has gone through the roof for a lot of products, especially home-based products. Everybody's spending money on remodeling their homes and all that kind of stuff instead of traveling and spending it on hotels or spending it on other services. So it's going into product. And so yeah, it's a tightly intertwined chain, right? It's called a supply chain. So clearly, when one portion of that chain is impacted, it affects all the others. So there's a real domino effect, no doubt.
Yeah, and I think part of everyone in our business, and especially what you do, we're trying to find ways to minimize those costs in those supply chains. Yep. And some of what you do is directly associated with not only understanding where your product is, but also minimizing those costs as well. Isn't that correct?
Well, for sure, and that those trends already existed before the pandemic hit us, right? There was already a movement towards what we were calling nearshoring or onshoring, right? Bringing some manufacturing closer to home, closer to U.S. operations, especially products that had some configurability or some labor involvement in it. If a product is still really highly automated and mass produced, those costs are still significantly lower overseas in Asia and so forth. But there was already a trend to start bringing some of those products closer to home, simplifying the supply chain. I've seen stories about what it takes for the Apple iPhone to get built. I think it's like 54 different vendors in the supply chain or steps in the chain. So things like that. So there's already been a trend towards simplifying and shortening the supply chain. That was certainly accelerated by the impacts of COVID. And that has a lot of impacts. Again, there's another domino effect to that, right? That sounds simple enough, but that's not as easy as flipping a switch, right? I've got to build new vendor relationships, put new processes in place, new systems and logistics and all those things that are impacted by that. So that's not an insignificant trend or change that's happening. It takes time for that to affect it. And that's just one of many trends that we're seeing out there.
Yeah, and what are some of the disruptions that we need to look out for as we continue to look this year for some solidity, right? Some at some point some leveling off of this and try to figure out where we're at to make it better. It can't just, these peaks and valleys make it difficult for all of us to maintain what we're doing. So what are some of the disruptions we need to watch out for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, it's always been the nature of supply chain that there's disruptions, right? Whether that's climate, and last year we had 3 or 4 major hurricanes hit the Gulf Coast, right? And so ports in Houston and New Orleans and so forth were impacted over and over, and that was pretty unprecedented. So things like that always happen. There's always stuff going on. It's the nature of the beast. Who would have predicted a ship going sideways in the Suez Canal, right? Would disrupt supply chains for months. And the reality is that that's the nature of it. But what COVID has done to us has really been dramatic. It's been unprecedented, and it's not done messing with us yet. So in terms of additional disruptions to look for, as we speak right now, Shanghai, China is basically in complete lockdown, which is a huge major port, especially for semiconductors, which has already been a shortage issue for auto manufacturers and, by the way, trucking manufacturers, right? So prevalent to your audience. So it's not done with us yet, and it's kind of a whack-a-mole sort of thing. It may show up in one country or another, get solved in one place and show up somewhere else. And again, we're so closely tied globally now across the supply chains that wherever it appears, it has a ripple effect and impacts us. So I think countries all over the globe are really still trying to understand how we're going to manage this, how we're going to live with this virus that no doubt will continue to evolve and have different variants and show up at different times and locations and surge and subside. So a lot of places are still going to try to figure that out, and that's not going away anytime soon. And then, a few months ago, who would have predicted a brutal and destructive war in Ukraine, right? Yet here we are. Regardless of all the human suffering and impact of that, the reality is that region produces a lot of raw materials for different manufacturing functions around the globe. So those impacts are just now starting to show up, and no doubt they'll last a long time as well. And then I guess the third disruption that occurred to me is, unfortunately, there's the specter of cyber attacks out there, right? Ransomware and those kinds of things. It's unfortunately a new reality in business today, and we know there are a lot of potential vulnerabilities in some of our infrastructures, energy sector and so forth, here and abroad, that if some bad actor decides to launch a cyber attack, it could certainly wreak havoc for short periods of time. So, yeah, don't mean to be sending depressing news, but there's plenty of disruption still ahead.
Yeah, and I think if we just flip on the channel, you can see all of these things in the reality. I don't want to minimize something so effective as the war in Ukraine. The last two wars, the world wars, actually started in that region of the world. Both World War I and World War II started within 200 miles of where their fighting is going on right now. So, I mean, historically speaking, that does affect all of us in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And even the sanctions that are being placed have a negative impact in reverse. Don't think that because you do that to one person, it's not. This is a chain, just like you speak of. And when you impact them negatively, you're going to impact yourself negatively as well. And that's what these sanctions will do. As and I understand their need. I'm not minimizing it, but the reality is we have to face what they are and why they are. Do you think things will improve anytime soon? Are we just so innovative here in the United States? We're going to figure all this out this year, and we'll be the better for it, or where do you think this is headed? If I had to ask Russ Graff, give me that crystal ball action you got.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get any worse. But I think most experts, and I do talk to different thought leaders and people in industry. I just recently did a webinar with one last week, in fact, and I think the prevailing wisdom right now is that we still have a tough road ahead for probably the next couple of years. The most optimistic view I've seen is probably second quarter of next year, so maybe a year from now, where things start to settle down. But I think it's going to be longer than that, because most of the solutions for the challenges that we're facing are really not quick fixes, right? If you think about it, they're really longer systemic sort of changes that have to happen. As an example, improvements in our infrastructure, right? Congress just passed a bill with an incredible amount of investment in our infrastructure. Airports and ports will certainly be part of that, but it takes years for that stuff to build out and have an impact. So I think we're probably looking at a rough road for at least a couple of years, in my opinion.
What part, and as we're on that, what role is technology going to play in this supply chain and trucking as we move forward? Because it's important that we understand this is a data business. What role are we headed to?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you hit it on the head with the data comment, right? That's really what drives all this. And obviously, Netstock, we're a technology company. That's where we live. And we think about that every day, how we can use our tools and technology to improve operations in an organization. So we certainly believe that appropriate technology, when it's properly deployed and supported and so forth, can really offer huge benefits to increasing all kinds of efficiencies in the business. And with trucking being such a major component of the supply chain, stands to reason that all kinds of technology advances there could also have an impact. So I think, obviously we're looking at the advent of electric vehicles. Somewhere down the road, I don't know how soon, the potential for driverless trucks, at least in some portion of the environment. But things like better routing software, right, to make us more efficient, to be, going the right place at the right time in proper order. We've got a serious labor shortage, both truckers and in warehouses. So maybe, increase the use of robots and so forth in warehouses, better data sharing. A lot of what goes on in supply chain is all about communication and collaboration. And so the more we trust the data, and the more we can share that data and collaborate and make decisions around that data, the better. So we're going to see continued improvements in reduction in paperwork and making more efficient processes. I know when you started the show today, you talked about the end of trip or post trip data capture, right? Well, so is there a technology that could make that easier and faster for everybody, right? Those kinds of things. So I think all those are open for discussion, and yeah, we're a very innovative country, no question about it. We're always looking for ways to deploy technology to make us better and more efficient. I don't think the supply chain and particularly the trucking industry is going to be any different.
Yeah, and I know you know this. It doesn't matter where you go and what industry you're in. It seems like our unemployment is down to an all-time low, and still there's a lot of help wanted signs out there today, right, Russ? I mean, I think we're going to need to. I think we're going to absolutely need to rely on technology to help us go into the next generation, right? I mean, it's going to be inevitable, and I think some of the solutions that we offer and what you're talking about through technology is going to be not only going to be good, but it's going to be necessary, right? I mean, I don't even see, because the baby boomers are moving out, right? That big, and then the next, I don't know, what is that next Gen X, Gen Z? I don't know, whatever that is. There's just not as many of them as there was before. So we're talking about not being able to move that populace in to handle that stuff, right? So we're going to need to rely on some technology.
No question about it. We've got to get more done with the people that we've got, right? But we also have to treat the people we have better, right? We have to, I think one of our potential topics of discussion here is, what companies need to do these days to manage this and navigate what's going on in the environment, and I think it starts with people. Certainly I'm a data guy, we're a data company, and there's a role for data, but the question then becomes, how can that technology and how can better management of data help make the lives of our employees better, right? So in the case of supply chain, if I'm a buyer or a planner trying to decide what to buy for inventory, if I can spend half my day working on spreadsheets and solving errors in my spreadsheet and so forth, that's a waste of my time, right? And it's stressful. It's no fun. So if I can remove that from my daily mundane tasks and allow me to do more interesting things, like build relationships with my vendors and negotiate transportation rates and all those kinds of things, it's more fun, more impactful for the business, then that's going to keep me engaged and keep me in that job. If I spend all my day doing grunt work, I might not be as motivated and interested in staying. So we've got to, think about technology in terms of how it affects people, and I think there's a great opportunity for us to make our quality of work life better with proper technology and then proper education, right? Bring our people along in a continuing education and self-improvement environment, give them the tools to do a better job and have more fun doing it. And I think there's a huge burnout right now in supply chain that we have to think about. We have to address that.
Yeah, and some of these suggestions that you have for businesses to navigate, what are we going to need? And I know we've talked about technology, and I know we're talking about some efficiencies. What are some? Where do we need to direct these businesses, and how do we direct these businesses in 2022 and 2023?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there are some good sources of advice out there. Everybody's got an attorney and a CPA and different professional services folks that can support them. There are some really high quality folks that understand this IT world as well. So talk to your peers, get involved in trade associations, those kinds of things, and learn who are those experts, who are those folks that you could consult with and learn from and get some good direction from. And how to, what's the proper level of deployment of technology, what's appropriate for you, for your organization and where you're at. And I think a lot of it starts with better core accounting systems and operational systems. Again, those are termed ERPs. And those do a great job of capturing all the transactions, all the ins and outs and movements of product and inventory and orders and shipments and all those kinds of things, and that's great. But now all that data needs to be interpreted somehow and it's understood and agreed to and shared. And so that's when add-on applications like what we do at NetStock and other shipping automation tools and warehouse management systems, all these different technologies can leverage all that data in the ERP and now bring that to the forefront. There's a process that's commonly known now in the supply chain world called, sometimes it's called S&OP, Sales and Operations Planning. Some folks add a letter I for inventory, sales, inventory, and operations planning. And so that's really it's a communication, it's an internal collaboration, but it's based on data. And so we've got to get that captured, get that interpreted, and then have those discussions about, okay, how do we make decisions? How do we set policies in our companies to be able to leverage that data and make good decisions to go forward and grow and be profitable? So there's a lot to it, but there's good advisors out there that people can avail themselves of.
Yeah, I know, and I really, and as I sit here and look at what you're talking about, Russ, a lot of that is not only when we're talking about visibility of what it is we do out there, right? We're talking about genuine visibility of whatever it is we're moving or whatever it is of every detail. And for me, I almost want to put it in, I'm not sure how to, but in some way like you do, like you have in your truck, with the dials. I want some way that I can see all of it right in one spot, and I don't have to go and dig into all that data. You know what I'm talking about?
The fact of the matter is, if you were to look at our NetStock application, the first thing you see is what we call a dashboard.
There you go.
So that's the perfect analogy. It's a control center. It gives you all the quick information, a summary of the status or the health of your operation. It might be a truck. In the case of a real dashboard, or in our environment, it's a dashboard that gives me a quick snapshot health of the inventory and where do I have things in a red line that I better go take care of, because these are the things that are urgent and in pain that I need to address quickly, right? So it helps you prioritize where you spend your time and energy.
Yeah, I know. I think that's very helpful as we look for it, and I think we're going to that because if you can fix the worst thing you're doing and make it better, your overall bottom line is going to be 100% better. I do know that as we move forward and we use the data and technology in our industry, never before, Russ, have I used data in such a way or gone and looked at it in the trucking industry like we do now. Yeah. It's all data. It's all, no matter what it is, and no matter if it's fuel consumption, no matter if it's fuel truck profitability, you know what? There's some way in which we've got to make things better so that we can reduce some of our costs and increase profits so that we can continue to invest in these technologies. Because when you talk about these, Russ, you're talking about an investment in the future, right? You're talking about going out there and saying, hey, you know what? I need this in the future. I need to be able to look at these in new ways so that I can be better at what I do and make great stuff. I think you bring some great points to the deal. Is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here? I just want to know, you bring a lot of good stuff from your sector. And I was hoping that you were going to give me the thumbs up and say, fourth quarter, we're solid. I mean, I was ready for that, Russ. I was waiting for you to punch it through and go, you know what? Invest, because fourth quarter is looking good.
I could say fourth quarter, but if I have to give you a year, I'm in trouble.
I was hoping this year. Year.
Yeah.
This year.
I hope I'm wrong. But no, I think, your final point there is a good one, that this is about investment. And a lot of us in industry think about investment in physical assets, right? Trucks and dollies and all those kinds of things, racks, and all these systems that support the supply chain physically. But really, an investment in the technology is just as important and needs to be evaluated the same way, right? What's my payback period? What's my return on investment? And you need to be thinking smartly about those things. But if you do it right, those investments in technology and live a long time and have a very rapid payback, and yes, set you up for a future of more profitability and growth, no question.
And I'm going to ask Russ before how if anybody out there listening on here on BCB Live, it doesn't matter if you're inventory or if you're warehousing or anybody in trucking. How do they reach out to you directly, Russ? How do they get a hold of you, or do they get a hold of your department, or they get a hold of your sales department? What's the best way to reach out to Netstock?
Yeah, I think the best thing is just go to our website and take a look around, and you can fill out a contact us form there. That's www.netstock.com, so netstock.com. And I think that's the best way to get in touch with anybody on our team.
Fantastic. We won't call you directly, but we'll... We won't reach out to you directly.
I'm happy to take your call anytime.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Hey, Russ, man, great information. I'm glad you came on and shared some of your inner working knowledge about what's going on and your years of experience. We hope that you come back. But before you get out of here, I ask every guest before they go to state their name, who they work for, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that for me?
I'd be happy to. I'm Russ Groff with Netstock, and you're listening to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right. This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear affords the wearer durable clothing with a great fit to afford the highest degree of safety. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
Good morning and welcome back to BCB Live. You got Double Check Dale talking a little bit of weather, and then we're going to take a break and go into some safety and videos. Right now, the winds, ladies and gentlemen, are starting to come back a little bit. Right now, we're seeing some stronger winds starting to pick up through central Texas, up through Oklahoma, into Kansas. Also, if we look up in the Pacific Northeast, the New England states, we've got some very windy conditions up in that area also. So if you're up there, be aware of that. As the day progresses, by the time we get to 2 o'clock this afternoon, these winds out in Texas, central Texas, and Oklahoma, southern Kansas really intensify. And then some very strong winds picking up in Utah, Arizona, Nevada this afternoon. So be very, very aware of those today. That's what's going on wind-wise. They really don't die down. We look at 11 o'clock and we still have those strong winds going up through Texas and Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and parts of New Mexico. So, once the winds start picking up today, really hit their stride around 1 o'clock, they're going to be around for a while because, even at 11 o'clock, they're still out there. Let's take a quick look and see if we have any precipitation going on right now. And I believe we do. Rain and thunder. Here we go. Currently, if you're in central Kansas, eastern Kansas, Kansas City area, you're going to see some thunderstorms. Northern Oklahoma, up into north Iowa, there's a little bit of a storm system going on right there. That's current. I think Kansas City is going to be wet most of the day. We kick it over to 7 o'clock this evening in Omaha, Nebraska, central Kansas, Missouri, right across that I-70 corridor, seeing some storms this evening at 7 o'clock. And then some thunderstorms working their way through central Texas up into southern Oklahoma. And as we go into those overnight hours around 11 o'clock, that storm system up in Kansas and Missouri really intensifies. Some of those storms are going to get very, very strong. Strong winds with those, localized flash flooding, lots of lightning, strong winds with them. So if you're up in the Kansas City to St. Louis area, that I-70 this evening, and then going back into northern Kansas, expect some very, very strong winds, storms tonight, and some winds with that. Pacific Northwest is starting to see a little bit of snow yet. But that's really what's going on with weather today. With that, let's take a short break.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live
so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
And you got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Hey, and we are back here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, on a thankful Thursday. And guess what? We have Double Check Dale, right? You showed us a little bit of the weather, a little bit of the action going on out there. It's looking like some spring.
Yeah, some wind, some rain, some thunderstorms, spring stuff.
It's spring stuff, not bad. And you know what? What I'm really liking about it, not a lot of that late April snow. Yeah.
Here in Texas, at least.
Yeah,
right?
I don't like late April snow, and I sure don't like May snow. So I'm telling you, I'm about done with it then. Okay, we are still talking about
accident reporting.
Of course we are. What do we got going on today?
You know, today we're going to talk a little bit about pictures, because pictures help preserve the evidence, help preserve what went on with it. You know, it's so much better than memories. And so if you take those pictures, it's important to take good pictures. You know, pictures should be close up and the distance. We want a couple different angles. But one of the things you want to try keeping a reference mark in there. If there's a sign or something that you can keep in every picture to show scope and scale with it. Very important there. But you know, some of the things you want to take pictures of is your vehicle, the other person's vehicle, and their markings. If it's a CMV, make sure you get their DOT number, license plate, stuff of that nature. You know, if there's parts laying on the pavement, shattered glass, make sure you get some pictures of that. You know, take pictures of the environment, what the weather conditions are, road conditions are, a big picture of the accident site. And you always want to make sure, drive safe, that you get it from a couple different angles. You know, so many times the drivers just take it from the angle that they're seeing it from, you know, where they were in their driver's seat. But you want to take it from the other angle, the other person's angle, and from the sides also.
Yeah, and I'll make a couple of quick suggestions on that as well. I like all of that. You know, sometimes it's hard to understand incidents, and when you look at something really, really close, you know, in a picture, you're not sure to scale what we're looking at. It's a good idea sometimes to step back, step away, and take a good overall view, and the approaching intersection from different angles like you were talking about in both ways. You know, step back, walk back a little bit so you can see it from each direction. And you know what? It's always a great idea. You know, we all have great cameras, and on our great cameras are phones, right? I mean, I don't know which. So I mean, we all have. I honestly believe that we have cameras, and then there's just phones on there, because the phone technology hasn't really changed a whole lot. But the camera technology has changed dramatically over time.
Yeah, every camera that comes out anymore, they're bragging about, or phone that comes out, they're bragging about the camera system. And you're right. You know, step back from it. If there's hills in there, or if there's something that obstructed a view or something, make sure you get that, because you want those pictures to help tell the stories, tell them what was going on at the time of the accident.
All right, very good. I like it.
Some videos?
We do have videos. I believe we've got some videos out there.
All right, we're going to start it off here. It looks like, which exit do we take, Dale? Here we go.
Yeah, I'm kind of watching this one. Driver's got great space and everything, and I love it. The speed is down. Traffic is pulling away from them. And as we come up to this, we have this white van sitting right in the middle, and I'm not sure, you know, looking at it, is he broke down, or is he just being indecisive which exit to take? And so, but the driver does a great job recognizing that everybody's slowing down. First, it starts off with that space, Dave. I mean, that's the best part, is he's got great space. So when we start seeing something's going on ahead, you know, no need to really get on the brakes. He's got that space to cover it.
Not sure he's broke down, or if he's outside taking selfies. Not sure what's going on over there, but it looks like, is that an indecisive vehicle, or is he trying to wait to pull over like he didn't like with the rig?
There's a black mark, a skid mark. I don't know if something went wrong with the van, so I don't know. Bottom line is he's obstructing traffic. He's holding stuff up.
Yeah, he's making it dangerous for everybody, right?
Yes. And so hopefully, you know, this driver, as he sees that, because we do come to just about a dead stop, gets his four-ways on, you know, starts communicating with other drivers out there that, hey, there's something in the lane ahead that we can't go forward.
All right, let's talk about some speed in space, and here we go.
God, I love showing videos like this. This driver's just got the great space right there, owning it. The speed is down, traffic is pulling away. So when everybody starts slowing down, he can do it with plenty of space, never really loses the space. Just an outstanding video by this driver.
Yeah, and I know this intersection well. This area well. This is a get you area every time. But driver does a great job in slowing down. You can tell by the reduced speed. That's a great distance between him and the vehicle in front of him.
Yeah, just a great video right there.
All right, let's keep it going with, hey, look what's coming at you here. Here we go.
Yeah, you're going down the road, you're expecting everybody to do the right thing, but as we start seeing, there is a vehicle passing that big truck there in a double yellow on that and everything. So it's like, whoa, that'll wake you up a little bit. You know, driver does a great thing as soon as he recognizes it. You know, he starts slowing down, sees that there's, you know, an idiot making an illegal pass, basically. And so he starts slowing down and creating space and waiting for that vehicle to get over. Just never ceases to amaze me.
You know, people get so impatient and unwilling to wait, unwilling to do, and then they make bad decisions out there on the road. And you know what? It happens every single day, and you've just got to be genuinely prepared for it. If you see something like that going on, it's always a good idea to move over further to the right, move away from the vehicle as much as you can. Avoid that, hug that white line on the right, hug that shoulder over to the right, and give that as much. You never know if something wiggles or something goes on because they're in that split double yellow line. There might be debris in there. You want to try to stay away from that vehicle as quick. I mean, that vehicle's traveling at a high rate of speed.
Yeah. And he's probably doing distracted driving. He's probably got his phone up. He's probably not paying attention to what's going on. So
playing Bejeweled right now during the pass.
How about a stale green light? Anybody know what that means?
Yeah, stale green light. It means this driver's doing a great job recognizing a stale green light, slows down ahead of time for it. When the light changes, gets a nice, easy stop. I love it. Protecting lives out there, you know, keeping those intersections safe. That is the greatest thing out there. I love it.
You know, there's a lot going on here in this video. This is actually a great video. You're in a school zone area, not indicated by the time, but there's a lot of distractions going on. And the trees block this light up ahead for a while, so you're unable to see that intersection light. You've got so many cross traffic, so many different areas to deal with, so many different intersections. And yes, here you are, you're moving up, and you do a great job of stopping right there at the red light. Good job.
Just nice job.
All right, and we have two videos of this one. Here's part one, Dale.
Okay, you know, here's part one. We're seeing it. We're probably tailgating a little bit. We're probably getting a little impatient here, want to make this pass, waiting for that. We pull out to make the pass, and as the video ends, I recognize that there's a yellow line, there's a solid yellow line out there. So what I did is able to go back and pull the video another minute of it to see if they actually did pass. Unfortunately, when we see part number two, yeah, this is a minute of it, so we're getting up behind them. We're getting a little bit close. We get into this passing situation. When we pull out, we're going to pass, and as we do, we see we got a yellow line, which means no passing. We should not be passing here when we go out to start. And then as we continue through this, okay, here we go. So as we continue through this, solid yellow line, we should not be passing. At that point, as soon as the driver saw that it was a solid yellow, should have slowed down, should have got back in line, waited for the appropriate time to pass. You know, sometimes we just get impatient. We got to pack our patience. You know, oh yeah, it's nighttime, I can see headlights or whatever. It's still a legal pass, and so we just got to make sure we do the right thing, slow on down, and get back in line, wait for the right place to pass.
You know, I was watching this video, and I thought there was an oncoming vehicle with the light ahead. I didn't realize it was the train until it got closer, and it was the big eye of the train coming around. I thought for sure, hey, this guy's fixing to pass with an oncoming vehicle. Well, he's not on the track, so yeah, but still, you've got to pay attention to these passing areas and these zones, and you got to really, really be mindful of when you go here. You know, this is a dangerous situation. Passes are just dangerous all around, right? They're just scary 100% of the time. It doesn't matter day or night. You're entering into oncoming traffic lane.
Yep.
And it makes it dangerous. And you know, we've all encountered vehicles without lights on. We've all encountered people driving around with no lights or limited or really poor lights or light out or what have you. Yeah, you've got to be really mindful of what's going on around you and not pass until you're absolutely clear you can do so.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those yellow lines are there for a reason. I mean, there's an obstructed view line, an obstructed sight, or not an adequate time for a safe pass to be there. That's why those lines are there, and you have to obey them.
Yeah, And that's a big light on the train.
All right, hey, I'm going to share one with y'all. This was shared to me by my daughter last night. It's a TikTok video from a school bus, and I want you to watch it first and hear it. I don't know if the volume will come up or not, but here we go. Drive safe, Dave and Dale. We'll keep watching that one more time and just. Talk to me, guys.
Wow.
I'm going to say the brakes. I was going to say he was having a difficulty with the brakes in that situation. He was letting everybody know he couldn't stop. There was no way he could stop. He was having an issue getting the vehicle to come to a complete stop, and he knew it. That's why he's blaring.
Wow, what a scary situation. Wow.
How scary is that? And Dave, you're absolutely right. So the driver of the truck has got no brakes.
Yeah.
He's braked out. He's not going a high rate of speed, but he can't stop, and he's blaring his horn, and you hear the driver in it as well. He's like, no, like telling those cars not to go, not to move up. I don't know how he made that, Dave. I mean, that was some driving there. You know what? And root cause, you know what? Maybe we got to go back and look at the pre and the post trip. You know, thank God we didn't have an accident on here, though. You see this car here in front of the school bus, gets out of the way. Here's the horn blaring. Everybody knows what's going on. Thank God this vehicle was stopped there. It almost looked like a cop car there. But this lady right here just scared to death. The kids, I don't think they realize what's going on here. And at one point in the video, she's like, go. He's not going to stop. And probably the best thing they did was stay where they were. But my goodness, how scary is that? And I'm just going to go to this. And I don't even know what the case is, Dave, but did we do a pre-trip? I think that's a fair question to ask. Did we do a pre-trip on this?
Absolutely. And did it, I mean, you know, when brakes go out, it's really hard to tell, but there's usually a good indicator before then. There's usually a good reason, and something's happened prior to this for them just to completely fail. But when it does happen, this is how scary it is, and this is scary in and of itself all around. I know the driver, you could hear the terror in the driver's voice, knowing full well what he's coming up on. He's got a school bus with the lights flashing, and realizes, do I have children in the road? Do I have, you know, you're talking genuine fear. I don't, the driver did, you know, everything I guess at that moment he could do. Nothing happened in the outcome. I think the decisions that he made at that moment.
Yeah, I'm going to say at the moment when you're dealt with that situation, the right decisions were made. Again, you know, what we don't know, but was a pre-trip. And you know what? We talk about the importance of pre-trips and post-trip, and as we close out this segment, you know what? You always have to do a pre-trip because of these things here. You can't take that chance. You're taking the chance of killing somebody. And again, we don't know what happened on here, but if we do a proper pre-trip, Dave, and we look for the right things, we can catch a lot of things. And when you see something that's wrong, you can't go. You can't take that chance. It's got to be fixed before you go. You know, man, how scary was that video?
It'll wake you up.
That was brutally scary.
It'll wake you up, and I'm telling you, I've been in a vehicle where the brakes didn't work, and it was scary. It had to come to a stop, and it is frightening beyond measure when there's no brake.
Yeah,
and it's just frightening, and I'm telling you, it's just Absolutely scary.
In the old days, when everybody had the manual transmission, you could at least start gearing down and trying to, scrub some speed off that way. And, if they're automatics today,
But you're not going to come to a complete stop.
Yeah, you're still not.
Yeah, just like this vehicle right here. You can't. You can scrub some speed off, but you can't stop.
Yeah.
And you're left to the momentum. You're left to the momentum, and you're left to the mass of the vehicle. Very, very scary stuff. You know what? I'm glad we're blessed to have everyone in that video.
Thankful
come out.
Thursday for that.
Thankful Thursday for that.
For sure. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day. We thank you for giving that driver of that truck that ability to make it through that tough situation safe. Lord, it's a reminder, and just ask that you help us all. Sometimes we're just worn out. I mean, we're done. We're tired. We're frustrated. And the last thing we want to do is go and do a stupid pre-trip. Lord, ask that you give us that courage, that ability, that reminder that it has to be done because it can save lives. Give us that ability to no matter how frustrated we are, to always remember how important that is to create safety while we're out there driving. Man, we need your help. We always need it. We need you in our lives. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. Drive safe, Dave. Double check. Great show today. Great videos. Quarterly, we're going to still see some more financial releases from companies as we get going. Put all your money in on the trucking companies. They're going to have the greatest quarters ever.
And
stock will probably still go down, and I don't understand why. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow. God bless. Take care. Be safe. Communicate. And if you can be on time, this is BCB Live, folks. What are we?
The safest station in the
Say
nation.
it like you mean it.
The safest station in the nation.
Both of you, the one. Come on now. You act like you've done this before the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
The safest station in the nation.
All righty.